This is MAAP Real Talk Show with you here, George Host, and with the Patriot of Wickenburg, Arizona. We just finished the function for the Patriot Wickenburg for the GOP this evening. It was a successful, so many candidates, so many places, and I hope everybody. But tonight, in particular, I wanted to speak to some gentleman that he's been in the trenches from day one. I'm gonna let him do the talking because MAAP Real Talk Show doesn't do the talking. We let the real people do the talking. This is MAAP again, George, with you today. How are you this evening, Mr. Bryan Masche?
Hey, George, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming here to Lydia's here tonight in Wickenburg and getting to see us and covering this event that was here. This was an awesome event. We had candidates for governor here.
Right.
We had candidates for Secretary of State. We had candidates for the individual House races.
Right.
A lot of wonderful people here, wonderful patriots in Wickenburg. I'd like to say that rural Arizona, whether it's Wickenburg or Lake Havasu or Kingman or Bullhead or Yuma, this is the last bastion of freedom in this state, in these rural communities. So it's very important to come out here to meet as many people from Wickenburg as I can, talk to them, answer their questions. These are great people here. Wickenburg started a movement here in Arizona that actually kind of trickled out across the states, where there were restaurant owners like Lydia's here, where they refused to shut down. And
Right.
they said, we don't care what the government does. We don't care what the state says. We don't care what Governor Ducey does. We're leaving our doors open. And they did that right here at Lydia's, as well as a couple other places in Wickenburg.
Because they followed the Constitution. I need to follow this up because not
100%.
like they did it rebelliously.
Right.
They were
Right.
following the law of
Sure.
the land.
So, it's important to remember when we discuss everything that's happening that there is no constitutional basis at all to say one business is essential, another business is not essential, you need to shut down, you need to stay open, you have to get vaccinated, you don't have to get vaccinated, you've got 101 employees, you've got 90. None of this is constitutional. None of it has ever been constitutional. Our corrupt governor, our corrupt legislators, they have forced this on the people of Arizona. And thank God for patriots like Lydia here, who kept their restaurant open through this entire pandemic, because it inspired other people in other places to do the same thing. And that sort of helped kick off this freedom movement with regards to taking the state of Arizona back.
Well, your speech tonight was outrageous. It's just I couldn't follow you with the camera because you guys kept moving. It was real. It was raw.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
So don't mind me with the little mishaps that was going up and down, but I covered it to the best of my
Thank
ability.
you,
I
George.
tried to do my best to catch you and because you kept
Absolutely.
moving, as you know.
Yeah.
But can you reiterate one thing? When you were talking about the concept, you say you were a nurse, right?
Sure.
How
Absolutely.
much can you say and you cannot say as a nurse? That's really the question that's
Yeah.
on a lot of people's minds.
So for people that are
When you were
wondering-
working, I'm not
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about now. Now you could
So
say.
for people that are wondering,
Right.
our
They asked
medical
me that.
community, okay,
Yeah.
whether you're a nurse, a doctor, a physical therapist, an x-ray tech, we're the front line of literally a war right now for the American people and for their freedom. People need to understand this, okay? The Gallup survey does polling every year. Some of the questions that they ask are this: what are the most trusted professions in the United States? Year after year, historically, you can see it's nurses and pharmacists, nurses and pharmacists, nurses and pharmacists. This is who the American people trust. The reason why this narrative has come after those in the medical community the most is this: we are holding back the rest of everyone else from just getting in line and getting a shot. Because people know they can trust their nurses, they can trust their doctors and their pharmacists and their medical professionals. So when we say no, it encourages others to say no. For instance, if someone says, oh, my sister's a nurse and she says she's not 100% sure about this shot, maybe we shouldn't get it yet. Or my uncle's a doctor and he's not my uncle, but my uncle's a doctor and he says, I shouldn't do this. People question that and they go, if a nurse or a doctor is willing to get fired and lose their job, like I am on November 1st because I won't be vaccinated, willing to lose my job, okay, and to not go along with this, then clearly we know there is something wrong. So healthcare providers right now are on the front lines of stopping this entire country to falling to communism, and this forced mandates and forced vaccinations and everything else. This needs to stop. There's no place for this in the United States. There's no place for this in the state of Arizona. And as the governor of Arizona, it's really simple. We're taking the Ron DeSantis approach. Make Arizona Florida again.
Well, this is at the first day. What's your first job will be? First thing on your desk.
Sure. So the number one issue, I have three main issues that I talk about.
Number one.
The very first one is this. As I take my oath of affirmation, all of the trucks for the National Guard will be running. When I complete my oath of affirmation, it is very simple. Those trucks will deploy to the southern border of Arizona. 100% of the National Guard, minus 2 or 3 guys left at home to answer the phones back at the Guard unit. Otherwise, everybody goes. Securing the border is the number one thing that needs to be done in the state of Arizona that can have the greatest impact for our entire country. And the people that have been in office for years have not done it on purpose because they are involved in corruption, in trafficking drugs, kids, humans, terrorists, everything else. So I don't even call it illegal immigration. I will never call it illegal immigration because it's not illegal immigration. It's an invasion. And the people of Arizona need to understand you're the front line right now of stopping the invasion of the United States of America.
Well, I was only asking you that one question, but since you mentioned 3 topics, see, you took me somewhere else now.
Yeah.
We would like to know the second and third.
Sure. So the second topic is very simple. It's election integrity. I was at the Capitol the night the election was stolen from President Trump. I walked to the tabulation center that night, and I stayed there for probably 6 to 8 weeks afterwards while they were counting and recounting and doing everything else, trying to hold our elected officials accountable. In Arizona, we will do this. I will present a bill to the legislature. They will review it, or they will present it to me, and it's very simple. We will have 1 day, 1 vote, on paper, no electronic tabulation of any kind. Hand count everything at the polling place in smaller districts, the way we always used to do this. Everyone will present a voter ID with their ballot. For those that are in the military or the frail or elderly or disabled, those are the only people that will be allowed to have mail-in balloting. Otherwise, mail-in balloting will no longer exist in the state of Arizona. Those people will have to actually present an ID in front of a notary, get their ballot actually notarized to get turned in. The only way to ever have a secure election in the state of Arizona again is 1 day, 1 vote, on paper, no electronic tabulation, no machines, nothing hooked up to the internet, human beings counting every single ballot.
And the third?
And the third thing is this. As an operating room nurse, I've been speaking out against the COVID narrative literally from day one. You can watch Alex Jones's new documentary, COVID Land. I'm actually featured in episode 1 and episode 2 because I have been the single loudest voice in the healthcare community in the state of Arizona speaking out against COVID, saying, why are we taking a sledgehammer to a fight that we only need a fly swatter for? This is ridiculous. 99.95% of people survive COVID perfectly fine. There is no reason to install these mandates, shots, vaccines, masking our children, quarantining people. It's very simple. COVID ends day 1. No forced vaccinations of any kind. Not just COVID, but any vaccination. People need to have control back of their lives and their bodies. We have a 4th Amendment for a reason, a right to privacy, a right to be completely left alone, and our government doesn't have the right to just invade our personal property. With regards to our children, we take ARS 1602, the Parental Bill of Rights, and we codify that into the state constitution. So now that puts every school board, every administrator, every principal, every teacher on notice that literally we say, you can no longer do this to